right. I don't know if the recording is going to allow us to record that music, so let's go ahead and get our started here. All right, everybody, welcome to the call tonight. I know it's Memorial Day in the US, and so some of you may just be watching this as a playback, but I'm sure it's going to be just as valuable for you to watch this on a playback. I'm going to mute the interference coming from 540 area code. So if you want to unmute at some point later on, you're welcome to when asked. And I'm going to ask everybody if you can mute yourselves right now. That way we don't get that interference. Anyway, so welcome to Aligning with Success. I'm your host, Mike DiMuccio. It is May 27th, 2024. Wow. And I'm always happy to see everybody join and share in the intelligence that we as a collective bring to the community. But tonight is a special night because I get to. There's people texting me for the meeting code. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Sorry. Gosh, you can. There you go. So, as I was saying, special guest this evening is my daughter, Sophia DiMuccio. Most of you have met her somewhere along the Nikan Highway in her early startup as a Nikan consultant, or maybe when she was just a daughter in the kitchen trying a new Nikan product. I don't know. I've had her on videos. I've had her sharing her stories, testimonials, new experiences. Just her career, her journey with Nikan started when she was born. So she's had a career longer than most people with Nikan. And it's mostly as someone who was living the experience from the point of view of just being born into a Nikan family, into the Nikan Wellness Home. But as it would turn out later in life, she decided that she was going to turn her passion for being an entrepreneur into some experience. And she gained some of that in her first few months with Nikan, joining the business and in her own right, building a Nikan Gold business. And then decided to take her show on the road and left us for a very long stint to Guatemala, where she then made that her home, traveled throughout. I mean, she can tell her a little bit more about her story, but she came back for a short time and then went back again and hosted a retreat and a number of things that she's been up to since. And we're happy to have her back home, first of all. She's now settled here for a whole month before heading on in the next chapter of her journey somewhere to Europe. I think we got the agenda for that coming soon. In any event, I'm happy to have Sophia here because she's a very, very bright light in our life. And I'm sure those of you who've had some interactions with her would agree. She's more than just a young lady. She's a young lady with purpose, vision, insight, intelligence, great beauty, and she's just a pleasure to be around. So I'm going to ask everybody again if you would please mute when you join a Zoom call. That's sort of a standard protocol. Anyway, I'm going to have Sophia unmute. And welcome to the call, Sophia.
Hi, everyone. It's so nice to see you all.
Yeah, it's so nice to see many of you who are coming in from the US who are on Memorial Day. So thank you for that. And we respect that celebration. So thank you for your time tonight. So Sophia, I don't have any more to say as far as an introduction. So I'm going to just hand it over to you. If you want to, you know the group, you know the crowd, you know where we come from, you know what we believe in. And I know that context really plays into a lot of how you conduct yourself in your own affairs. So
Yeah.
you just go ahead and start with what you want to share.
Okay, awesome. Well, actually, I'm intuitively feeling called to ask you guys a question to open up the space tonight. And I know that this call happens every single Monday at 9 p.m. and it almost maybe has started to feel like routine and like habit and maybe even an obligation, something you know you're supposed to come to. I want this to feel different. I want this call to feel like a choice and something you're intentionally choosing to log on into because you want to experience some sort of breakthrough or transformation here. So my question to you, and I'd love for you to drop your answer in the chat, is why are you here today?
Okay, we've got some messages going in the chat here. Hello from Mexico. Nuggets and inspiration.
Patty said to listen to your freshness.
Yeah.
I love that. To hone my skills as a conscious leader, to learn from your experiences, to hear what you have to offer us, to learn. Would like to hear your story, to get info, knowledge, learn. I'm seeing learning a lot, which is great. Learning is always fun, but learning really happens through action. I can give you, again, some hits of inspiration and some ideas to run with, but if you really want to learn, you have to move. To hear a new way to be Nikan, tips for us. Okay, awesome. Great. It's not lost on me that I am a young newbie entrepreneur, and you are all much more experienced than I am in life and business. And so the fact that you're allowing me to be here, to be in this seat, it means a lot to me. And I appreciate all of your respect. And just your willingness to come and hear from somebody who is younger than you, because I know that sometimes it can feel like, well, what does she have to offer me? And I really do believe that we all have something to offer each other. Me being so fresh, there might be an energy and aliveness that you've lost that maybe I can help bring back to you. And you being so seasoned, maybe there's a few reality checks that you can give to me. So I hope that this will be a place of exchange where we can both learn from each other. I also want to encourage you to use the chat box while we are in this call together, because it really helps me to make the experience better for you. It's a more dynamic conversation when you are interacting with me, when you're asking questions, when you're commenting on what's being said. I even love when during my calls, you guys start kind of having your own side conversation that's related to the call, because it deepens, again, your experience of what's happening here. I also want to encourage you to just set aside any distractions if you have any. Maybe flip your phone upside down, maybe grab a notebook and pen if there's stuff that you want to write down to really make the most of this experience. You're investing your time and energy to be here, so be here fully now. Okay, beautiful.
Sophia, can I just say something? The chat is really awkward for me using JAWS as a blind person. And
Okay.
also, if I
Amen.
hear people chatting,
I'm
you're
not
coming
saying
through
this.
at the same time as their message. It can become very, well, not confusing, but distracting to having to deal with so many things coming in the same pair of ears all at once. So I just thought I'd let you know about that.
Awesome. Yeah, we definitely won't have people jumping in via audio. So don't just unmute yourself and ask your question. If you'd like to use the chat box to ask a question again, or to make a comment, I'm here for that. I'm welcoming that. And if there is any other pressing questions that can't be asked through the chat box, we'll do a little Q&A at the end, so you'll have a chance to ask them there. How does that sound?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Okay, so the reason my dad asked me to come and speak to you all today is because I think he's seen me go through my own journey with my business. I started my first year and a half in entrepreneurship full-time, straight out of university, and joined him in Nikan. And I learned so much under his wing, really about the mindset of a CEO and how to have sales conversations, how to market myself, how to really have somebody perceive the value of a product or service, how to build client relationships. There's so much. I could go on and on. How to be a leader and how to inspire people. And so I'm really grateful for the foundation that Nikan gave me to then go on and pursue what I really love to do, which is coaching. Some of you have known me since the early days of starting my passion project, the Mind Palace. And some of you maybe are just meeting me for the first time today. But in short, during university, I created a little passion project where I would just share about the power of the mind and the ability that we all have to create the life that we want. I mean, can you blame me? I grew up as my father's daughter, having the influence of him, of the Negan family, of Bob Proctor in my life. So of course, those were the conversations that I was having regularly, and really started to take it upon myself to learn and to practice teaching these things while I was in university. After my success with Negan, I felt like I finally had the confidence to do what I'd always wanted to do, which was monetize that passion project. And so I started putting out my own programs and launching different things and really just experimenting. Like, when you're new and fresh in business, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. And I think it's almost the biggest challenge to hold on to that beginner's mindset, to really attack every day as if it is day one, because this is the first day of the rest of your life. And I'm really grateful that I got to, that experience is so fresh for me, of just being like, you know what, let's try this and see what happens, right? Like, if I fail, I fail. But then I started to have some successes. And oftentimes what I hear from people who are really successful in business, 6 and 7 figure mentors that I follow, is that your biggest success can quickly become your biggest roadblock. Because the second you have a big win, your question is, well, can I do it again? What if I can't? What comes next? Was it too good to be true? And I feel like maybe many of you are in that position where you've had a lot of big wins. And maybe you haven't felt like that version of you in a while. And it's feeling like the longer the time goes on, the more the evidence stacks up that you can't be that version of you again. I've experienced only a microcosm of this, where I had some really big wins last year. And then right as I was planning to make my big move to Guatemala, everything started crumbling. Nothing I was launching was working. I had 2 back-to-back $0 months in my business. My retreat that we were trying to sell out had 1 person signed up for it, not nearly enough to actually run it. And my bank account was running really low at the moment, but I had committed to making this move. And something that you'll hear me say that I want you to write down is, we don't set goals, we make decisions. We don't set goals, we make decisions. Because when you set a goal, you're hopeful. When you make a decision, you're convicted. It's already done. And so because I had decided that I was going to make this move, and this was something my heart truly wanted, I went anyways. And I trusted I would be able to figure it out once I was there. And I would be able to somehow breathe life back into myself, this version of me that was feeling very discouraged and very depleted and really like an imposter, and breathe life back into my business. And I just kept hearing Bob's words in my mind. You have to make a decision. And when you do, it has to be a committed decision. The resources come once the decision is made. And so I went to Guatemala, and the first few months felt really rough. It was a slow process. I'm not gonna pretend that, I landed there and things just poof, magically started falling into my lap, because it didn't happen like that. The first thing I did really was get on my knees and start to pray and ask God to help me move through this chapter, and ask God to re-inspire me. And little by little, I took the feedback that I was getting and I shifted things. I started creating better offers. I started creating better marketing. I started telling more stories. I started being a lot more real and authentic with people. And 6 months later, after making the move, exact 6-month mark from when I had $0 coming in, nothing working out. We had to move the date of our retreat because the first one flopped, right? So it was just like back to back to back failure. And then 6 months later, I created a $30,000 month in my business, which felt like the biggest comeback of the century for me. And since then, things have been really beautiful in my business. I felt really abundant and in overflow. And I feel like we have this momentum that's just continuing to grow.
Decision is made.
And so
You have to make a decision, and when you do, it has to be.
I'm
okay to
hearing
make a
myself.
decision. The resources come once the
You guys
decision
hear
is
Is someone
made.
unmuted?
My mind.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
so.
I was like, that's like Inception happening. Okay, cool. So what I want to do, what inspired this class, this training that I'm about to give, is that story. Is the story of how I went from really in this pit of self-doubt and this almost like depressed state of energy where I felt really discouraged and unmotivated to turning that completely around in a 6-month period and having one of the biggest wins that I've had so far in my career, and really just like re-engaging my audience in a whole new way. I feel like I've built a really strong foundation now that I can stand on and continue to build on. And I know this is probably what you're looking to do in the next 6 months and beyond as well. So I started looking into failure and really getting curious about failure in that time period where things were not working for me. And instead of looking for really big motivational speeches, I actually started looking for comeback stories so I could inspire myself, so I could remind myself that there can be wins after failure. And I stumbled across this quote by Albert Einstein. And he said, "Failure is success in progress." Think about that. Failure is success in progress. Meaning, you cannot have success without failure. Failure is a prerequisite. It's a requirement of success. That's actually how you know that you're succeeding if you're failing. Failure is success in progress. Really beautiful words, and we all know in our mind, logically, that they are true because we've seen enough examples of it. So then why does it feel so damn hard to believe it in the moment that we're in it? This is the question that I needed to understand for myself, because as much as I could tell myself that things were working out for me and that I was going to learn from this, and this would be a story that I would use one day, in my body, I didn't feel it. I believe that all transformation starts in the mind with right understanding, and then we have to figure out how to get it into the body. So first, let's start with the right understanding. There's something we all have to know about the human condition that we find ourselves in. We're walking around with these supercomputers that run our life, right? And all this computer wants to do is, 1, collect data, and 2, protect us. That's it. It wants to collect data and protect us. So this computer, your mind, it needs to understand something if it's going to be able to effectively protect you. And what it needs to understand is who you are. So it develops this thing called a self-concept or a self-identity, this avatar of you. You are not who you think you are. And at the same time, you are who you think you are, right? Because the mind creates this avatar. It says, okay, I am Sophia. I am this age. I'm from this place. I like these foods. I don't like these foods. I'm good at these skills. I'm bad at these skills, etc., etc., etc. All of these facts are malleable and changeable. This perception of who I am is completely malleable and changeable. If I could convince myself that I'm 35 years old and I have kids and I could walk around and act like that if I wanted to, right? None of these things, what I'm saying is that this avatar, this self-identity, this self-perception, it alters the way that we walk around the world. And it all depends on what we choose to believe about ourselves. Now, whenever you experience a circumstance or a result that's out of alignment with the self-concept that you've built, and this can be positive or negative, right? So let's say this is the avatar of you, and you experience a result that's over here. It doesn't align with the avatar that we've created. You said you're really bad at baseball, but you just won a baseball game. Whenever this happens, it creates tension. It creates this dissonance between the two. Again, it can be positive or negative. So let's say you think you're really good at baseball and then you lost the baseball game. There's going to be some sort of charge, an emotional charge. And when there's an emotional charge of any kind, whether it's positive or negative, the entire computer starts to malfunction. Because whatever you've created to be your self-concept or self-identity, it's not adding up. The math is not mathing. It's not equaling what it's supposed to equal in the computer. This also happens every time we make a decision to go somewhere you've never been before. Your body wants to stay neutral. Your body wants to stay at baseline. It wants to stay safe. So when there's that heightened experience of either something really positive or really negative, it's no longer in the safe zone. And so something needs to happen in order to get us back into the safe zone. So to rectify the situation, there's two options really that the mind uses. You either learn how to create comfort and safety around this very uncomfortable sensation that you're in, and therefore you alchemize it into your new safety zone, right? This is what creates momentum in the direction of our dreams. So whether something positive or something is negative is happening, how can we make it feel safe to our nervous system? So we can keep taking steps in the direction of our dreams. So you can make that part of your self-concept now. Integrate it into your self-concept so it doesn't feel like this scary foreign experience. That's option one. Option two is now the self-concept has to change to match the new data. So usually this means lowering our sense of self-worth. It creates momentum in the opposite direction of our dreams. And unfortunately for us, this is the default program until we decide to change it. So when you experience any type of failure or setback or criticism, the data is collected, it's recorded, and what does the mind do? It keeps us safe by shifting your self-identity to match your new results. This is where that feeling of discouragement comes from. It's your self-identity trying to align with that result, trying to say, well, yeah, you're actually not who you think you are. You're not actually as great as you want it to be. As soon as you start to buy into that story that you're not who you think you are, that imposter syndrome, really what I believe imposter syndrome comes from it is a lie to yourself, but it's in the opposite direction. You're actually not acknowledging the truth of who you are, which is a creator, which is the person who can decide exactly who they want to be and be it through their thoughts, their words, their feelings, and their actions. That's true imposter syndrome. It's not acknowledging that fact, right? Instead, what happens is whenever we have some sort of failure or criticism, the self-worth lowers to reach that bar rather than heightens to remind us of who we truly are. So we're all self-aware humans. I know this is not new stuff for you guys. You understand that your identity creates your reality. Your personality is your personal reality, as Dr. Joe Dispenza would say.
Sorry to interrupt, Sophia. You're not intending to share anything right now, are you?
No.
Okay.
And life responds to who you think you are on a subconscious level. So the cycle of how we create our self-identity usually goes a little something like this. There's a past result, something that you have in your mind. Maybe it's, oh, well, I've been in this business for X amount of years and nothing's come of it. So past result, that creates the identity that you find yourself in. Well, since nothing's really happened, I guess nothing's really going to happen. And, you know, I am kind of just here for the vibes at this point, creates current result, right? So whatever actions you're taking in the now, whoever you believe you are now, creates your current results. That's affirming the identity. And then that yields a future that looks exactly like the past, right? We brought the past into the future when we decided that the past was who we were. So in order to break this cycle, in order to create a new future result, at some point, your self-identity has to change before your results do. That's really important to write down. In order to break this cycle, at some point, your self-identity has to change before the results do. You have to become greater than your current level of self. You can't stay who you are right now. You cannot stay who you are right now. You cannot think the way that you think right now. You cannot speak the way that you speak right now. You cannot act the way that you act right now. You cannot feel the way that you feel right now in your body on a day-to-day basis. All of that has to change before your results do. That is the only solution. That's the only way to break the cycle. That's the only way to make your future look different than the past. You have to become someone else on the inside than you are on the outside. Now, there's always some sort of time delay that happens between the moment the energetic shift happens, the moment we become the new person, and the moment the new result materializes. So a rule that I like to go by is that your circumstances today are the results of what you were thinking, feeling, saying, and doing 3 months ago. So what were you thinking, feeling, saying, and doing 3 months ago? Honestly, consider it. 3 months ago, where were you in terms of your state of being? Is it the same as you are in today? Because then you know what life is gonna look like 3 months from now, right? What would happen if you changed your energetic state today? Would you be willing to wait 90 days to see what would happen? So you have to be able to sustain the new identity. That's the point I'm trying to make. You have to sustain it long enough without evidence that the physical world starts responding. And that is the ultimate test of self-mastery. And truly, I believe it's the one skill you came on earth to master. Like, why else are we here if not to experiment with what we're able to create and who we're able to be in this lifetime? So really, self-mastery is the ability to sustain this new identity, this new state of being, without evidence until the physical world starts responding. Sounds like something only a crazy delusional person would do, right? Believe that they are someone else before they have any evidence of it, before they have any results to show for it. But that's exactly the type of delusion that's required in order for you to create the new result. Because if you stay who you are now, you will always have what you have now. Be, do, have. That's the order of how we create. Be, do, have. Be in terms of who you believe yourself to be, your own inner avatar, the way you perceive yourself. Do you perceive yourself as poor or wealthy? Do you perceive yourself as miserable or happy? Do you perceive yourself as a follower or a leader, as somebody who has influence in the world? These are all things that you can change about, you can gradually really, it's just a decision. It's a decision to wake up every morning, and the next time you catch yourself in that thought spiral of, no one's going to listen to me, you decide to say, everyone's going to listen to me. People love me. People love listening to me. It really is that simple, but not easy. And to sustain that identity long enough that you start to do things differently, you start to act like that person would. And when you do things differently, truly, you want to know if the results are going to be different in your life. Are you taking new actions? If you're still taking the actions you've already always taken, you're still going to get the same result. That is the actually most delusional thing you can do, is think that you can continue to take the same actions within the same frequency that you've been taking them and expect to get a different result. So if you're really serious about turning things around in your business, you're going to have to start doing different things. When you fail, you really have one of two choices. When you fail, when you're discouraged, anything like that, when you find yourself in a low moment, you have two choices. You either let it crush you emotionally and you turn around and run back to safety. So this is the default program. This is what our nervous system wants us to do. It wants us to turn around, to give up, to throw in the towel, to coast. It wants us to let our external results dictate your sense of value or your self-worth. There is a second option, and that is you see this failure, and it doesn't even have to be a failure. This could just be an undesired result. For example, you're not seeing the money that you want come into your business. Okay. You can, so option one, get emotionally involved with it, in it, throw in the towel, stop coming to calls, stop talking about things, decide that you're not worthy, that you're not good enough, yada, 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 the default program. Or you put on your CEO cap, as my dad likes to say, and you decide to look at these results as data, the best kind that there is. So in this state, you recognize that these results are neutral and they do not dictate your sense of value, your worthiness, your capability. It's just data. And when you are able to look at your results objectively in that way, you actually open up this whole new world of possibility and opportunity, because you're able to really see what's going on, to notice the gaps, and then put your problem solving cap on and find a solution. And that's what I had to do when things weren't working in my business. I had to ask myself some hard questions. Instead of making it about me and how I wasn't capable or worthy enough or wasn't who I said I was, I decided to get objective about it and really start asking the right questions, which was, well, what actions am I not taking? If people aren't buying my offers, either I need to change the offer, or I need to change the messaging around the offer, or I need to change the way I invite people into the offer. Like, get creative. You're an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are here to solve problems. And I know that you guys all have creativity. You all have that gift. This is a game that you get to play. And how fun is it? You're here, you're on earth, you're alive, you're breathing. We're here to play the game, to experiment. And when you're willing to keep experimenting, right, to keep trying different things, different strategies, asking different questions until you get the result you want, your success becomes inevitable. Truly. You have to decide that for yourself, though. You have to decide that you're willing to treat today like day one and to get back out there again. And to get creative again, to start playing again. Like you did when you were a little kid. When you were a little kid and you were putting the puzzle pieces together, and you didn't stop just because you got stuck a couple times. You just kept playing until you figured it out. That's what business is. It's the ability to just have fun with it and try different things and challenge yourself. Because if you're not challenging yourself, then you're not growing. And if you're not growing, then you're decaying. That's how you keep the lights on, and that's how you keep your vibrancy throughout all of life. It's continuing to challenge yourself. I think all of you need to really ask yourself the question of why, not just why you're in this room, but why are you building this business? Like, why is it important to you? Why are you here? You don't have to answer this one in the chat, but we need something that's going to motivate us. And usually there are only two ways to motivate yourself as a human being. I learned this, and ever since I did, it's pretty easy for me to get my ass off the couch and get to work because I know how to hack my own psychology. So 2 ways to motivate yourself as a human. The first is through desire. It's the perception of a reward on the other side of doing the thing or achieving the goal. So for example, when you were a little kid and your mom was like, if you clean your room, I'll take you to go get ice cream. Doesn't matter how badly you didn't want to clean your room or how much of a mess it was. You got it done so you could go get the ice cream. When the reward is great enough and the reward is compelling enough, you will do whatever is necessary in order to achieve it. You will find a superhuman strength within you, a force of will within you that you couldn't even stop it if you tried when the desire is great enough. And only you can figure out what that desire is. That's going to be that carrot at the end that moves you to do all the hard things, that allows you to stay in the game when things don't feel fun. It has to be a strong desire. There is another thing that will motivate you, and that is fear. So it's the perception that there is some sort of punishment from not doing the actions. You know, for example, and this is not a fun picture, but if one of your loved ones was in danger and you were told you had to build your business, you had to hit the next rank within the next 90 days or else something very bad would happen to them, I'll bet you'd find a way to do it. You'd find a way because there's no way you would let that happen. You're going to exhaust every single one of your options and you're not going to give up until the very last moment. So this is how you motivate yourself, fear and desire. And I like to use both. Whenever I'm finding myself in a position where I'm like, well, I know what I need to do next, or I know that, you know, I should be excited about this milestone. Why am I not? I know that it's going to help my life in a lot of ways. And we'll talk about why you're not in a little bit. It's because it's an upper limit. It's because, again, it's going to require you to change that self-identity. Whenever you do that, you're leaving the safety. Your nervous system starts to malfunction, right? We don't like change. We're not wired for change. So why am I not feeling motivated about this goal? This milestone that I want to hit? Why am I not feeling motivated to get up and work on this business that I know I love, that I know really is my passion, that I have this vision for? I'm either not connected to a strong enough desire, or I'm not really understanding the consequences that come from not taking the action. And what I'll do is I'll sit down and I'll look at those 2 points of contact. And I'll manufacture something that motivates me on this end and that inspires me, literally brings energy moving through my body on this end. And I'll look at this end and I'll allow myself to get really frustrated and really emotionally involved with what happens if I don't move. And both of those forces together allow me to keep going and allow me to keep moving. And when we do, we get different results. And when we do, we learn different things. Like, you want to learn, experiment. I can't teach you anything. Again, I can give you like little golden nuggets and inspiration, but the way you're going to learn is by trying a new strategy and seeing if it succeeds or if it flops. That's how you're really going to learn in business. You got to get back out there. You got to get back on the field. So we really have to be proactive in this approach, in nourishing that self-identity, that sense of self-worth and the value that we want, because your sense of self-worth is not a constant. It's so fragile. It's like this very malleable clay that's constantly being informed by your circumstances, right? And in this very ever-changing, unpredictable physical world, you can't leave something as important as your sense of self-worth to chance. You have to be able to choose, consistently choose the self-identity that you want to embrace. So what is it that gives us that staying power to continue experimenting, continue to fail if need be, and continue really to maintain that self-identity, to maintain that sense of knowing that I am the thing that I desire, feeling as if I am the thing that I desire, even as my outside circumstances are changing and not giving me the evidence I want to see? What gives you that staying power to keep going until inevitably you succeed? Because failure is success in progress. You will succeed if you continue to fail. What I've found is that the ultimate source of your power and the key to shifting your state quickly, because this is what we're talking about here. We understand now why we need to be able to choose a new state of being on demand all the time. And now we're going to talk about how to do it. And I want to give you a practice to do it. The ultimate source of your power and the key to shifting your state quickly is your heart. The organ right here, your heart. It's more than just a pump, turns out. There's a really beautiful book called Resilience of the Heart by Greg Braden. And it happened to find its way into my lap when I first moved to Guatemala. And again, I was in this very depressed, unmotivated, and really discouraged state. And I started to read about the heart. And I was no stranger to the power of the heart, but it reminded me just what the heart is capable of. In the book, it talks about different studies. There are studies shown that the heart has memory. If you they took the transplant of a heart transplant, put it from one person into another person, and that new person started to crave the same foods that the one who had passed, the one who had donated the heart, always ate. They studied the connection between mothers and their children and how mothers seem to intuitively know across great distances, sometimes on the other side of the world, when their child was in trouble and when their child needed them. How is that possible? And they brought it all back to the heart. Science is showing us now more and more that there is an invisible field of energy that connects everyone at all times that is not limited by time or space. This is what gives people precognitive abilities. You are thinking of somebody and then they pick up the phone and then they call you the next minute. Where does that information come from? Where does that sixth sense come from? It's from the heart. This is what the heart is designed for. And there's more and more evidence coming out about this every single day. That the heart is really the organ most primed to be able to connect us with the field of information that we are swimming in, to receive downloads from this field, to be able to connect with each other on a deeper level, even in levels where beyond time and space, to be able to tap into different possibilities, different timelines of the future, to be able to shift our state of being on demand. Your heart has an energy field that extends up to 2 meters in either direction. So you think your heart is just here, but your heart is actually operating all around here. And it has this frequency it's like something like 60 times stronger than that of your brain. So we think that our brain is going to be able to give us the solutions that we're looking for, the information that we're looking for, those hits of inspiration and creativity, those new ideas that we're looking for. But that's not where they're going to come from. They're going to come from the heart. And so I started asking myself, what if this was baked into my business strategy? Why am I not using the one organ that is designed to help me connect to people first and foremost, beyond who I can physically talk to and see? And all businesses is people, right? Connect to new ideas, connect to new possible future realities. I mean, the heart is the doorway to my subconscious mind. It's my ability to be able to feel in my body new sensations that I want to feel, create new neural pathways for what I want to feel on a day-to-day basis. And so I started really practicing this meditation to help me get into a state of what is called mind-heart coherence. And what we do in this state is we're actually able to connect the little brain that's in our hearts, because there is a little brain, has neural pathways and everything that a brain has in our head, just right here in the heart. Well, you can connect the brain and the heart to create this single potent network that creates harmony in our lives. That allows us to access that intuitive information, that stuff that we can't rationally understand, and then to make sense of it with the brain and to act on it using our logical mind. So that's what I wanted to be able to do. I wanted to be able to really access this field of information that was going to allow me to move into a completely new timeline for my life, because I couldn't stay in the same one that I was in. It wasn't working and I was frustrated. And again, I had enough fear of what would happen if I don't move. And then I also had enough desire. Mostly at this point, though, I'm not going to lie, it was fear, because I had to figure out how to pay rent. So that can be a very strong motivator. And if you do have your back up against the wall, I want to encourage you to actually use that as your reason to keep going. Use what you have. Always use what you have. If you're in that position where you're like, well, back's up against the wall, got to figure it out, then get to work and figure it out and see it as an awesome challenge that you get to take on and get to see like just what you're capable of. But some people aren't in that, because I know also when you're in that position, it's kind of hard to feel like, whoa, it's hard to have like a clear vision of what you're creating because you're just so in it. So just use what you have. Use the fear or use the desire or use both, but use whatever you need to in order to motivate yourself to move. So I had those two things going for me. And then I started bringing this meditation into my every single day practice. And that's when things really started to change for me. I mean, my energy was just completely different. I felt this sense of gratitude that I hadn't tapped into in a very long time. And the more I practice it, the more that started to become my baseline. What I was actually doing without even recognizing it was priming myself. I was priming myself to believe that that is just how things were, that was my new normal. And remember what I said about being proactive with your state of being. You can't wait until something really good happens to feel good. You want to know why? Because you'll sabotage it. Because if you wait until the good thing happens to feel good, it's going to feel so out of left field, so emotionally charged to your nervous system that you're going to want to just run in the opposite direction from it. And you will find a way to do that. So when you prime yourself through this exercise that we're going to do all together, and you make this the new normal, you allow your body to get accustomed to this feeling. And through meditation is really cool because you can kind of play with the limits of like, well, how good can I actually feel? In a safe way, in a way that is not confronting to your nervous system. You're training yourself to believe that things just are that good. And to operate as if things just are that good. And of course, when your state of being changes, you start to act differently, and then your results change as a result. So I actually wanted for all of us to do this meditation together so you can get an experience of what it feels like, first of all, to be in that state of mind-heart coherence. And And then really to understand how to change your state of being right here, right now, without having to get up and do any complex practices. It really is so simple. It's 3 simple steps. And then you have this practice with you, and I can send you guys all this meditation as well if you want to do it, every single morning when you wake up, because that was my practice for a really long time, especially for this season when I was trying to get momentum going again. And yeah, I just think it would be way more powerful for you to feel it in your body rather than us just sitting here and talking about it. So that being said, I'm going to share my screen. I would like to invite you guys to get comfortable in your seat. You can keep your cameras on. You can also turn them off. Whatever you're going to be more comfortable with is fine. And you're going to have your eyes closed for this experience as well. If you want to grab headphones, might sound a little bit better with headphones, but it's not necessary. Again, and I want you to really give yourself to this experience. Let this be a moment when breakthrough can really happen. If you're starting to feel yourself kind of drift off or like struggling with it, just take a few deep breaths, come back to the meditation, and give it your all. Okay. Let me know if you guys can hear this.
Yes.
Hello, and welcome to your higher self frequency guided meditation. I invite you to begin sitting up or laying down in a comfortable position, ensuring that your spine is straight. Shoot, hold on. Start that again. Hello, and welcome to your higher self frequency guided meditation. I invite you to begin sitting up or laying down in a comfortable position, ensuring that your spine is straight, that your shoulders are rolled back and down, and if sitting up, that your head is lifted. We're going to begin by slowing down the breath. Allowing ourselves to come into a state of peace and calm, to disconnect from the outside world for a few moments, and to tune deeply into our inner world. I invite you to place your hand on your heart, bringing your awareness to this sacred center. We're going to inhale for 5 counts and exhale for 5 counts. I will lead you through the first one. Ready? Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. These are deep belly breaths. Inhaling, feeling your belly expand. And exhaling, feeling it contract. You can continue this breath on your own count. Taking everything slowly, being very intentional. When the mind wanders, bring it back to the breath. Bring it back to the feeling of your hand on your heart. I invite you to return now to your natural breath, noticing how it feels now versus when you started this meditation. I'm going to lead you through a visualization exercise. I would like you to call forward a memory of a time in your life that you felt truly happy. Don't think too hard about it. Instead, tune into the emotion and allow your consciousness to draw forward this moment in time where you felt blissful, joyous, at peace, in love, in awe. Choose one memory and bring it fully into your consciousness. Allow the emotions of this memory to flood your body. Allow the gratitude for this moment to build. Feel the energy building in that sacred center beneath your palm as you remember this moment. Now tuning more into the emotion than the vision. intentionally allowing that emotion to build, that energy to expand beyond your physical vessel into the space around you. From this space, I invite you to ask a question. What would my highest joy look like? And instead of trying to answer it yourself with what you think it should look like, what you think it should be, simply listen for the answer. Open yourself up to receive. And allow your consciousness to bring forward visions of what your highest joy might look like. Very good. Still staying tuned into this frequency of joy, of bliss, of peace, of love. I would like you to ask, what does my higher self feel like? What does it feel like to be them? What does my higher self feel like? Allow your consciousness to show you visions of the highest expression of you, the one who is in the highest service, the one who experiences the highest joy, the highest freedom, the highest love, peace, health. Allow your imagination to run wild. Remembering that these images are symbols, not to get too wrapped up in the details, but to tune into the feeling that they bring you. This feeling is the frequency of your higher self. And the more often you remain in this feeling, the more aligned you will be with the path of your highest joy, your highest freedom, your highest love, your highest service. This is a frequency that you can tune into. The secret has always been in that sacred place within your heart, where you have the ability to feel joy, love, peace, freedom, serenity, ecstasy, bliss, compassion, humility, grace. It's all within you now. I invite you to slowly start to wiggle your fingers and your toes, coming back to here and now. Taking a deep breath and rubbing your hands together. Placing them over your eyes. And with one more inhale, And one more exhale, gently opening your eyes. Thank you for meditating with me today. I invite you to take this frequency, this feeling, into the rest of your day. Allowing this energy field that you've created around you to influence every moment of your day, every interaction, everything that you create. Okay, welcome back, everyone. So first, I'd like to get a little feedback from you guys. I'll have a few people kind of maybe raise your hand. That's the best way to do this. And I want to know the honest truth about how that felt for you. I want to know if it was an amazing experience, if it was really challenging, if it was both. I'm looking for really honest answers here. And you can just raise your hand and go for it. Patrick.
You want to unmute Patrick?
I felt a little challenged, I must tell you. It seemed very I don't know. I tried to go along with it and when I meditate, I don't meditate quite that high. I meditate more completely. This seems sort of out in space somewhere. I don't know why, but it just seemed that way.
What part was challenging for you? Was it the breathing? Was it the feeling grateful? Was it the visioning?
I couldn't open it. As a blind person, I can't open my eyes.
Mm,
Just can't. I tried to, and it's just a painful experience.
hmm So maybe having some visioning stuff is a little bit more challenging. Some of my clients have a condition called, and I'm probably going to butcher this name, it's like amelopecia. And essentially it means they can't create visions in their mind. They can't see anything through their mind's eye. And what I usually recommend is finding another way to generate the feeling of gratitude, because that's really what it's about. It's not really about what you see, it's about what you feel. And sometimes what you see can be a tool for what you feel, but that's not the point. So is there another practice that you have, or a different way that you can tap into a feeling of gratitude?
Well, I think a little bit more practically. I use
Mhm.
scripture. I use where, and I must tell you that where I am versus where I'm working
Recording.
are two different places.
Active speaker video. Minimize meeting button.
Sorry, could you repeat that last part? Where you are?
Where I am versus where I want to be are two completely different places.
Mhm. And that's why it's hard to feel grateful?
At times, yes.
Mhm.
Because I have a goal, and the goal is being frustrated right now. and I don't know what the source of the frustration is. If I knew what the frustration was or is, then I could maybe possibly deal with it a little bit more completely than I can. I'm not exactly sure.
Mm. Do you think that you have to know what the frustration is in order to tap into that feeling of gratitude?
Yes, I have to. And I've been through some rather adverse situations in the past 9 years. Lost a wife, I've been through a lot of really adverse. I lost most of my family,
Mhm.
and I'm going to have to create my own family essentially because of the practical reason that most of my family is gone.
Mhm.
And like today, I would have loved to celebrate Memorial Day, but when I came home from the concert I played this afternoon, all I could do was crash because I just overdid it physically. It was hot and I'd overdressed a little bit and I just, I'm much better right now, although my sleep cycle is a little bit screwed up. It's gonna have to gradually work itself out. And so but that's why I've got the sleep system. So
You know, Patrick, I am gonna stop you here because I think what you're pointing out is something really important for everyone to know. And that is, I asked you about how you could cultivate a feeling of gratitude, and all you did was tell me about the things that are frustrating you. And that's just something to reflect on for yourself. But it's a pattern we all have. Everyone in this room, to some extent, is addicted to suffering. And that's a hard truth to hear, but it's something that we all are. We're conditioned for it. We're conditioned to continually look at what's missing and what's going wrong and what's hurting, rather than look at the beauty that's here. You're here with your Nikan family. That's something to celebrate. That's something to source gratitude from. You get to choose your perception. And the reason I asked the question was because I knew it would be challenging for a lot of you. It's challenging for me some days. This is a sign, though. This is a note. It's somewhere for you to take note of where your upper limits are. Now, an upper limit, according to Gay Hendricks, he wrote a book called The Big Leap. This was the first time I heard the term upper limit, and it really changed things for me. The upper limit is this imaginary ceiling. It's like a glass ceiling, ruling how good you allow yourself to feel. We all have them, and they exist at every new level of growth. Every single time you decide you're going to go somewhere new, you are going to hit an upper limit that's going to try and keep you where you are right now. Ever wonder why, when things are going surprisingly well, our immediate instinct is, well, is this too good to be true? Am I worthy or capable of this? Can I do it again? Can I beat it? So really how this upper limit starts to manifest, how it starts to rear its ugly head in our life, is we will cut off the flow of positive emotions by closing our heart. It's the same reason why Patrick started telling me about all the things that was frustrating him when I asked him what he could source gratitude from. It's a subconscious paradigm that wants to keep us from feeling joy consistently.
Even deeper than motivational, it's inspirational to get the motivation.
Who's speaking?
I'm sourcing that. Hang on a second. Somebody's unmuted. Please be aware of whether you're muted or unmuted.
We cut off the positive flow of emotions, by closing our heart. So worry, criticism, and blame, deflecting. This is like downplaying compliments, arguing, creating unnecessary drama, complaining. These are all ways that our upper limits start to show themselves. These are all ways that our addiction to suffering starts to show itself. Worry, criticism, and blame, pointing the pick the finger, starting an argument with your partner, finding a reason to complain to your girlfriend. All of this. This is cutting off the flow of positive emotions in your life. You get to choose how you want to feel. You get to choose what you want to focus on. And you can still handle hard things and tough situations with a positive outlook, without cutting off the flow of positive emotions. Some people use their greatest pains as their greatest source of gratitude. It deepens their gratitude. It doesn't make it more shallow. It's all a choice. Upper limits might manifest as getting sick, relationship challenges, financial problems. So take a look at what's happening in your life and ask yourself where the upper limit is. Where are you not allowing yourself to feel consistently positive? And it is a practice. I'm pretty sure Patrick used that word, practice. It's a muscle. And it's true, feeling joy, feeling gratitude, it's a muscle. That's why we do that meditation every day. So we can practice it. So we can make that feeling in our body not feel so foreign, not feel so hard to get to. Gay Hendricks in the book, The Big Leap, says that moving past the upper limit comes from a committed decision, remember that word, to increase the amount of time every day that you feel good and allow things to go well in your life. In other words, you make a committed decision to exist with a heart wide open, to relax when your instinct is to contract, to soften when your instinct is to harden, to seek deeper love, connection, and understanding when your instinct is to run away. And the longer periods of time that you're able to sustain these positive sensations, the more you train yourself to feel safe in them, and you make that your new baseline. So that's why the mind-heart coherence practice is awesome. And I saw a few people in the chat asking for it to be sent over, and we will definitely do that. So if you want an example, just to close off this kind of point, because I really want to hit home with this, of how powerful priming is, which is what we're doing when we do the meditation every morning. We're priming ourselves to feel joy and to feel gratitude and to practice making those positive sensations safe in our body, the new normal for our body rather than suffering. Tony Robbins shares a very famous experiment that proved the effect priming has in our lives and how even the most subtle, seemingly unrelated events can trigger a different behavior. So what the experiment goes a little something like this. They had a bunch of people handing out coffee. Some of the coffees were hot, some of the coffees were cold. They were iced coffees. And they went up to random people on the street and said, "Hey, can you hold this coffee for a minute while I tie my shoe?" So the person unknowingly is holding the coffee, the other person ties their shoe, and then they go and they leave the person alone. 20 minutes later, someone new approaches that same person and asks them to fill out a survey. They read a short story and they have to answer questions about the main character in the story. So participants who held the hot coffee, they rated the person in the story as happier, better-natured, and more generous and social. Participants who held the cold cup of coffee were more likely to say that the person in the story was unhappy, irritable, and selfish. Remember, there was no difference between the profiles that both groups read. They read the same story, but how they reacted to the description was significantly different. They had no idea that they'd been primed. The only difference between these two people was whether 20 minutes earlier they had held a hot cup of coffee or a cold cup of coffee. So consider that. Consider that. The smallest, most seemingly insignificant event can change the way you perceive your world moving forward. And with all the stimulus in our world that we have no control over, Consider how important it is to be proactive about how you're priming yourself. Don't wait for the world to prime you. Decide how you want to prime yourself before you go out into the world. So my challenge to you is to practice this muscle of feeling happy, feeling fulfilled, feeling for free. Freedom's an inner game. Happiness is an inner game. Make this the baseline by getting yourself into this state every single day. I can't emphasize how important it is. And money responds to your state of being. There's really nothing more magnetic than a person who is genuinely lit up with a joy for life and a passion for their business. The world is dying for this. It's dying for unbridled joy, joy without a cause, gratitude that doesn't require a reason. Humans are craving a sense of wholeness. And when we see it, we can't help but be mesmerized by it. So your joy is the business strategy. And that's what's going to allow you to feel that aliveness that you had when you first started. To access that creativity, that wonder, that wanting to experiment, that ambition and drive that you had at the beginning. It's your heart. Awaken your heart. Use it. Muscles that are not used atrophy. We know this. So use your heart. Practice opening it every single day. That meditation was 3 simple steps. We first slowed your breathing. 5 inhales in through the nose, 5 exhale out through the nose. This brings your body into a state of rest and repair. So you're moving out of fight or flight mode, which was in most people are in every single day is survival, into a state of rest and repair so you can actually access your subconscious. And it sends a signal to your body that you're safe. 5 counts in, 5 counts out, breathing through the nose, in and out through the belly, deep belly breaths. That's important. Don't let your breath be in your chest. Step 1. Step 2, we placed a hand on the heart. This brought our awareness to that center, allowing your awareness to really drop from here to here just by placing a hand there. And then we evoked a feeling of gratitude, and you can do this in whatever way works for you. And you have to find a way to source that feeling of gratitude within you. And I know that you have enough to be grateful for to do that. Once you do that, one more step you can take it is attach your future vision to it, to that feeling of gratitude. And that's how you plant the seed in your subconscious mind. And by repetition, you practice that every day. You are literally training your body you're priming your body, first of all, to look for opportunities for that vision to manifest that maybe you would not have otherwise seen had you not done that priming exercise, just like the coffee cup. You're making it easier for you to access that state of joy on demand. You're going to feel the moment something comes out of your mouth that contradicts it, like a complaint or an argument, like a snarky comment or whatever it might be, or even just a discouraging thought. You're going to notice it because you've created that dissonance and primed yourself with a new state of being. And people are going to feel you differently. They're going to interact and respond to you differently. You're going to influence them in a whole new way. So joy is the business strategy. The heart is your vehicle to do it. And I'd be more than happy to take a few questions before we sign off for the night. And I will definitely share that meditation with you guys as well. But that's what I have for you today.
Wow. All I can say is wow.
Excellent, Sophia. Thank you.
Any questions? This is your chance.
It can be related to this talk. It could be related to anything else. Yeah, I'm here.
I gotta
So
tell you,
Sophia.
by the way, for those of you who are watching here and watching the playback, she really does practice what she preaches. I mean, I wake up and she's already meditating in the living room on the purple chair, or it's what she does. So it's how she starts her day. She sets herself apart and brings herself into a certain state, and then from there she operates. And I don't disturb her. I learned. Just let her be.
Sophia, that's beautiful. You said that will be available somehow, that people can listen to you every morning if they want.
Mm-hmm. I can send you guys that meditation. I'll give it to my dad to distribute as he wants to.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I find getting older, like in my 70s, I'm more grateful for everything. I'm just sitting in my chair and I'm grateful for the little wind that's coming through my Air Wellness 5 or my Kenko Air. When you get to be in your 70s, you're very happy just to be alive. It's so fantastic because, it's looming closer and closer. You might not have that in the way you're used to.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty grateful.
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually have a question for you because this is something that I've been navigating as well. I think all of you are in positions where you're comfortable, right, with your life. For the first little bit of my business, what was really driving me was that feeling of having my back up against the wall, the feeling of like wanting to prove myself, and just, when you're like young and you're like, I can do this for myself, I'm going to figure it out. And you're kind of operating from survival mode, but it's a positive pressure. Now I feel like I'm getting to a place where I don't have that as much because my back isn't up against the wall. I am quite comfortable in my financial position. And I'm like having to source something new to motivate me, which I think you could probably relate to.
Yes. And that for me anyway, it comes from, okay, I'm already having a great impact on people, but how could I have an even greater impact? And that's what motivates me. Perhaps there isn't that sense of urgency, but on the other hand, hey, 71, 72, hey, when do you want to do it? The years are going, right? So if you want to have that greater impact, you better hurry up, even though your impact is great now.
Yeah.
That adds the urgency. The years do, for me anyway.
We have Lynn who has her hand up.
Sorry, my computer, Sophia is not working. My question for you, it takes a while to get that meditation you are doing on a daily basis is really effective. Can I ask you to share for someone as young as you, how long did it take and what did you do to get it that it's that effective for you to be practicing it daily?
Like you mean in terms of, sorry, there's a bit of an echo, but you mean in terms of it like really like hitting?
Yes, what I found is I practice meditation at night, but this is different during the day. For me, it's at night to shut down my brain, to calm down, to be comfortable and have higher quality of sleep. But if someone as young as you start your day with intention with doing the meditation. How long did it take for it to be effective? Were you able to implement it right away? And because I don't know that I could implement it that quickly to be as effective as what you're sharing with us.
I mean, I've had a meditation practice. It was on and off for a couple years prior. So I had done meditation before. I knew how to get myself into a meditative state. But the question really doesn't matter because it doesn't matter how long it took me for it to be effective. It just matters how long it's going to take you. And if your mind is looking for like an out, I'm not going to give it to you. Start today, and it will get more effective as you do it.
Good answer.
Yes, so there is a reason doing it in the morning versus at night, what I hear you say.
I'm guessing the meditation you're doing at night is more, it's not, this meditation is not meant to be a relaxing meditation, even though it is relaxing because it puts you in that state again of rest and repair. It's meant to prime you to be in a state of gratitude for the rest of the day and to bring that future vision into your body now. The question it asks is, what does your higher self feel like? What does it feel like to be them? So in asking that question, the higher self, I mean, you could consider this the future self, the ideal self. It's the identity that's attached to whatever result you want. So when I ask myself the feeling of like, what does it feel like in my body right now to be that person? Again, I'm practicing. And again, it's meant to be a practice. You're not going to get it perfect every day. There's some days I show up for my practice and it's a great practice. There's some days I show up for it. I'm like, that was horrible. I felt nothing. You just keep doing it.
Okay.
Just keep showing up for it. And then you will have days where you really start to feel it. And you're like, whoa, this is what the body of the version of me who has X amount of dollars in the bank feels like. She feels different right now, you know? And that's what it's all about. It's like, how can you experience new sensations in your body? Because when you experience new sensations in your body, you think new thoughts, you speak different words, you take different actions, and then ultimately you get different results.
The example of priming is perfect. The idea of the only difference was the external stimulus was a hot cup of coffee versus a cold cup of coffee, but it changed the condition of the individual in how they perceived the quiz, the questionnaire, and their response to it. So priming, by meditating this way, you're priming a certain feeling that you want it to become commonplace. And as you become aligned with, this call is called aligning with success. The premise is there is a state of success that you are seeking to align with and thereby manifest. This is exactly what Sophia's talking about. The priming is you are creating an awareness within your body, in your heart, within your body, of what it feels like to be that person who is that new state of success you're seeking. Once you feel that and becomes very involved, you become very involved in that feeling, and you start to then intimate it in all of your actions and your choices. It influences how you think and feel and act going forward, which subsequently is the cause, which leads to the effect of the manifestation of that person. That you start to manifest the things that person would manifest. So it's conditioning you on a daily basis, because let's face it, you're bombarded every day, bombarded more today than ever in the history of the human race with opposing ideas that are actually taking you away from your natural state, ideas that are taking you or warping your sense of self and identity, diminishing you to extremes. That's what's really happening. So how do you advertise to yourself rather than allow all the advertisers to advertise and influence your thinking? Why don't you advertise to you? If advertising works, this is a way of doing it, in a sense. Wow. Any more questions? We're at 10:39. That's an hour and 40 minutes, a little bit longer than normal. Yes, Deez.
I just want to say how wonderful all of this was, and the meditation was just really particularly joyful for me in what it allowed to come to surface again from decades ago, when because of an experience I had with a group on a pilgrimage event was so wonderful in so many ways that I know my energy after that of feeling loved, of loving, of feeling fearless and feeling freedom was so peaked that lasted for quite a long time. But little by little by little, a lot of that fell away, and that brought this all back. So I really look forward to your recording, and I look forward to sharing it with some other people as well. So thank you so much.
Dee, I look forward to hearing you tell us that you're continuing to do this every day and coming on to our calls and saying, this was an incredible week because I was feeling it the whole week. I mean, that's really the point that she's trying to emphasize here, is that it's not just a one-time thing. Thanks,
Right.
Sophia, off we go. It's okay. You now have a tool that can bring a moment in the past that you own. Every fiber of your being, every cell in your body knows that state. You can now recall that state at will, put yourself in a vibration aligned with that state, which gave you joy, so you can experience it right here and right now. And that influences the people and the circumstances around you, that in turn creates results that are more aligned with that state, reinforcing that state.
Yes, yes, that's the plan.
It's a great business. This is my best note here. Joy, the feeling of joy, is your business strategy.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I couldn't have asked for more. I'm sure. I'm so, I get to spend a lot of time with Sophia, but not in this context. We don't spend a lot of time in what she's doing. It's usually around, what we have to do or what I'm doing. Anyway, I hope you got a lot out of this. I know this recording is going to be very valued, and we'll be able to share this. I don't know how long it's going to take me to upload this, but look for it either tonight or tomorrow. I'm going to put Sophia's face on it, on the image, so that you don't confuse it with any other aligning with success calls. You'll be able to recall this one and share this with people. And yeah, wow. Thank you, Sophia.
Thank you, Sophia. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. You're an amazing human being, and I get to be your dad. What a joy.
Thanks, Papa, for having me.
You're a lucky guy, Mike.
All right, everybody, have yourselves a
Bye.
great night. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Mike, one last question. Are you going to be off next Monday?
Why would I be?
Yeah, because it's a kickoff call.
Yes. If it's a kickoff call,
It's
I
June
defer to the
3rd,
kickoff call.
so
Yeah.
you won't be on. Okay. Thank
There you
you.
go. Alrighty then. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you,
Have a
Sophia.
good week.
Oh, one last thing. Let me just end the recording so I can get this. I'm not even sure how to do that. Yeah, let's do that.